Food, food, glorious food. You are all here today because we all have something in common. We love dining experiences on a cruise ship. It's so much fun. It's one of the best parts. No dishes, no cleanup. Our servers are pampering us. We have a million choices. It's the best thing ever. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you here. Happy St. Patty's Day. This is going to be so much fun. We're here for 45 minutes today, so it's 12 o'clock. We're going to log out at 12:45 because Mama's got to get her hair done. So I got to get on the road and get that done today. So we have 45 minutes to talk about all things dining. Today, we'd like to wish our sponsor, cruiseline.com, a very happy 5-year anniversary. Of course, you all know cruiseline.com very well. If you've never checked them out before, you want to click on the link in the description box below. You can find reviews, tips, and photos from real everyday cruisers and so much more there. If you are researching food on a ship, cruiseline.com is an awesome place to do so. You can find reviews about food in the reviews section. You could go to the forums and ask questions about food. You can even look at photos of food in the photo section. There's a million different ways you could do your research, so check it out. Let us know your favorite ways to use cruiseline.com. So we've had a very fun time in the chat today. Tons of people came in early to say hello to me. And we are going to be talking about so many things today. We're going to start by talking a little bit about Cruise Ship Dining 101. What time do you go to dinner? Where do you go to dinner? How do you know where you're sitting? All of those really basic things about main dining on a cruise ship. And we're going to answer questions about main dining experiences on a cruise ship. If we have time, we can even talk a little bit about specialty dining and buffet dining and things like that. We are going to talk about special dietary requirements. We have even had people talking about how to handle going on a cruise after you've had weight loss surgery. We're going to talk about dress code. We're going to talk about anything and everything. So what I'd love to do is for the next few minutes, if you could hold your questions for me and let me just kind of give a little intro to main dining, I'll have a better chance of picking up your question a little bit later when we're done talking here. So hold those questions, be patient. And Mr. Cruise Tips TV, why don't we go ahead and roll the chat right now? Announcement about something that's changed on YouTube. For those of you who are not aware, YouTube is now saving the live chat feed. So right now you're seeing it on the screen because my husband has programmed it to roll on the screen, but we're so happy to report that this is probably going to become unnecessary very soon, if not already. You should be able to see the live chat saved and scrolling when you watch this on replay later. So I have not gotten confirmation that it's working yet. So we're going to roll the chat today. We're going to save this video and test it out later and tell you a little bit more about it. So I see a lot of questions coming in. It's very possible, guys, that since you're asking questions so early that I might lose some of them. Mr. Cruise Tips TV will do everything he can to hold on to them and save them for later, but don't hesitate to ask again when we pause for questions. So thank you all for joining us. I see hundreds and hundreds of people in the chat. Let's talk a little bit about the basics of the main dining situation on a cruise. So we're talking today about the big 5 cruise lines, I guess you could say, the mass market cruise lines. So there's going to be some variations from cruise line to cruise line, but in general, the things that we're going to talk about will probably apply loosely across lines like Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, although Norwegian has a lot of different dining options and exceptions to the rule. We will also be kind of referring to Princess, Holland America, Celebrity Cruises. Mass market lines like that are going to apply more to what we're talking about than specialty lines or smaller ships where things can be very, very different. So we are talking about mass market cruise line main dining experience today. So let's talk a little bit about how it works. Most people who are going on a cruise will be offered the choice of 2 different types of dining experiences in the main dining room. So if you're a new cruiser, your travel agent might say to you, hey, would you like fixed time dining, where you pick a dining time and you go to the dining room and you sit at the same table every night, or would you like flexible dining? Flexible dining has many, many different names on different cruise ships. Sometimes it's called my time dining, anytime dining, your time dining, flexible dining. It has all these different names. And that flexible dining concept simply means that you can show up to the flexible dining room, most likely, maybe even 2 flexible dining rooms, one of 2, during a certain time period and be seated at the time of your choice. Now, the one thing you need to know about flexible dining is that sometimes there can be a wait because the dining room staff can't always predict how many people are going to show up at a certain time. So during those peak hours, perhaps during 6:30 to 7:30 main hours, those can be a little bit impacted, and you may find that you have to wait. You may be given a pager, and you may be able to go to a bar and have a glass of wine while you're waiting. But sometimes that kind of a situation isn't ideal for people. For example, if you're traveling with small children, you may not really appreciate having to wait when you've got hungry kids who are tired out from a shore excursion. So in that case, a set dining arrangement might be better for you. Most cruise lines offer an early and a late seating for dining. So you might have something like 5:30, 5:45, 6 o'clock as the early dining seating. And then there's a second seating around 8 or 8:15. And you show up and go to the same table with the same servers every night, same exact time. And that is more of what we're referring to as set dining tonight. So that's kind of the basics. Now, what if you're not sure about your dining assignment? Well, most major cruise lines, when you board on embarkation day, will allow you to go to what we refer to them as office hours, but they're not really called that. They're more like maitre d' hours at the main dining room during the early afternoon on boarding day. You can ask where your table is. If it's not satisfactory, you could request that you maybe move to another table, a private table, a table with other people. It doesn't always work. They can't always honor your requests, but it can't hurt to try. And that's something very important to know if you are particular about where you sit in the dining room. Now, does everyone do that? No, most definitely not. In fact, most people look at the table assignment on their room card and they say, oh, I'll just show up and see what I've got for the first night. But it is generally an option to scope it out and see about changes. So that's a little bit of information about how you can make changes to your dining if you need to. We absolutely love the main dining experience on cruises. For us, it's always been super special to dress up, maybe not too much, but to get ready for dinner and have that family time every night, to get to know our servers and to enjoy that wonderful traditional element of cruising. And we've discovered a few things that we think make it a little bit more comfortable. So we want to talk a little bit about some tips or hacks or insider secrets right now that we think will help make your dining experience a little bit easier. So one thing that you should know is that you can order as much or as little food as you want. You will be given a menu with appetizers, main courses, and desserts on it. Let's just say you wanted to order 3 appetizers, a main course, and no dessert. You can do that. You can order no appetizers, 2 or 3 entrees, and no dessert. You can order just about any configuration of anything that you want. You could also order, in some cases, an appetizer size of an entree. That's very common on lines like Princess Cruises or Carnival, where maybe they have a pasta dish that's available on the main menu, but they know that maybe some people wouldn't want such a large portion of it. Well, you can actually ask for the appetizer size and they'll bring you a smaller plate. So that's something that's very good to know. I want to refer to a few questions that have come in this week on YouTube and social media that kind of address that. And the first question comes from Miss Jessica over on Instagram, said, I have a question for today's live stream. My hubby's a meat and potato guy who eats a full plate meal. I find when we're on a cruise, the portions are made to look more pretty than filling, at least for him. And thus it turns him away from the dining rooms and more towards eating supper in the buffet. Can he ask for 2 helpings on his plate of any meal, or will he be frowned upon? He's not overweight. He's just a farm guy who likes a real meal. And I'd like to tell Miss Jessica, we already had a chat about this, but I'd like to tell you that it's actually very common for people to order 2 main courses. I'm 5'0" and I sometimes order 2 main courses. The portion sizes have gotten smaller without a doubt over the years, and it really is okay for him to do that. Now, will they put them on the same plate, Miss Jessica? I don't know. Some cruise lines are funny about that, and they just really want to bring you the 2 plates, and then you feel like, a little overindulgent because you have plates everywhere. But I would encourage him to know that he is absolutely not alone, and that many, many people do that. I, for one, am a 2 or 3 appetizer kind of a girl, no dessert, and sometimes I'll get 2 entrees because I just want to taste them, and then I'll share them with the table. So a common night in a dining room for me would be something like a shrimp cocktail, which is tiny. It's like 3 shrimp and a little tiny bit of cocktail sauce, a green salad, and maybe a soup, and then an entree. And then I usually skip dessert because it's just not my jam. So very, very much okay to be flexible. The dining staff will not make you feel bad about it. Hopefully your table mates will not make you feel bad about it either. And it's absolutely okay. So I thought that that question was so timely and I wanted to share that. Now Cecilia has kind of the opposite question. I love this one. Cecilia says, I'm a very small eater. Usually I eat a kid-sized portion. Going on Carnival Dream in February, 7 nights. Will the main dining room make a smaller portion if I ask them to? I don't want to waste food. So Cecilia, like I mentioned, the portions generally aren't that huge, so you really don't need to worry about it. Just order the appetizer portion if it's available. But otherwise, go ahead and order the regular meal. Don't even hesitate to try a couple of things if you're not sure what you're like. You probably won't be wasting a lot of food, and you'll find that they're pretty reasonable small portions. So hopefully that gives you some clarification. I know that I have a few other questions here. I think we have one more. So Cynthia says, I have a question. The travel agent we work with this year through Carnival got us my time dining. I don't understand how that works. Do we have to wait for a table? Will we be sitting by ourselves? We enjoy meeting new people and talking to people. Cynthia, the good thing about my time dining or any time dining is that you can do it either way. You may have to wait for your table depending on the time that you show up. So on night one, ask the staff there what time they advise you to get there to avoid the wait. You can ask them for a private table or you can ask to be seated with others. It's your choice. So I thought those questions were really pertinent and gave us a nice opportunity. Some more tips for you guys for main dining, and then I will turn my attention to the questions in just a moment, is to let me just jump over to my notes here for just 1 second. One of the things that we talked about in our video a few years ago on this topic, we have a really popular video on main dining, is asking for special things that aren't on the menu in the dining room. Now this can be a little bit tricky because while the dining rooms are generally really well stocked, they don't carry everything. So you have to be thinking about asking for things, for special requests within reason. But there are a lot of things that can easily be done that, that aren't that difficult that you can easily ask for if they're not on the menu. Sides, condiments, things like that are generally no problem. Perhaps a particular type of vegetable that you might like, whether it's cooked or raw, might be okay. Maybe a special kind of fruit salad that you like. You can always ask. So what we encourage you to do is on night one, if you have a special request, if there's something that you just really love, for me it's horseradish. I love horseradish. I usually tell my waiter on night one, hey look, could you just bring us a little side dish for the whole table of horseradish every night? We would so love that. Another thing that my son really likes is he likes raw vegetables chopped up before dinner. So he'll eat a salad, but he likes to just like a little veggie plate. And most cruise lines are more than willing to accommodate his little request for a veggie plate. Other cruise lines have made him chopped fruit salads before when he was a little guy, and we didn't want him eating giant chunks of fruit. They would chop the fruit for him. So be open-minded, ask. You're not going to offend your wait staff if you ask politely. The worst thing that can happen is that they might say no. So really wanted to share that tip with you guys and let you know that that's okay to do. Now let's talk for a moment about dietary restrictions. Dietary restrictions are very commonly accommodated on cruise ships. So perhaps you're a gluten-free diner, perhaps you're kosher, perhaps you're vegetarian or a vegan. No problem. You can go on a cruise and you will be accommodated. Now the buffet may be a little bit more difficult for you to navigate because not all of the cruise lines will necessarily label their foods that thoroughly with the ingredients, but in the main dining room, your maitre d' and your server will go out of their way to make sure that your needs are met. We do recommend that you notify the cruise line in advance of any dietary requirements. When you're filling out all of your paperwork online and you're registering for your cruise, there may be an area that says there to select if you have any special dietary requirements. But the best thing to do is to call customer service and ask them who you need to speak with about your dietary requirements, or better yet, let your travel agent do the hard work for you on that one, okay? So don't hesitate to cruise if you have special dietary requirements. Let's jump into the chat and see what kind of questions we have building up here. Thank you all so much for letting me talk for 15 minutes straight about all that stuff. I kind of wanted to get all the facts out on the table and then address the specific questions later, especially because people who are watching this on a replay, that way they can understand the basics before we move on. So, all right, let's get in there. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, would you like to tell me what questions are queuing up, or do you want me to just jump in? Just one moment. Okay, Mr. Cruise Tips TV is turning on his mic and he's checking it out for us. I'm rolling up my sleeve. Yes, Stephanie, right. Horseradish is good. On, yay!
And there are a few questions queued up.
Great.
The first one from John Smith. How do you get a table for two?
John Smith, how you get a table for two? That's a great question. So when you're registering for your cruise or when you book your cruise line probably asks you what size of a table you want. Now, even though you plugged in table for two on that particular bit of software, it doesn't necessarily mean that they got your request. So you need to tell the maitre d' on embarkation day that you'd prefer a table for two, and hopefully they can accommodate you. Maybe not on night one, but they can certainly do it, hopefully within the first few days of your cruise, switch you to a smaller table if that's what you want. I see that Matt from Royal Caribbean Blog is here. Hey, Matt. Matt, I always love it when you share this story on your podcast. Matt always asks his head waiter for a plate of Indian curry every night just because he's a curry junkie, and they're always so helpful. I absolutely love that tip, and Matt, I actually copied you, and I did that on Carnival one time, and it was the best decision ever. The interesting thing about Carnival, guys, is that their vegetarian entree is often their Indian entree as well. So I will sometimes order a regular entree for myself and the Indian vegetarian, which is spectacular, and enjoy it so much. So I love that tip, Matt, and I'm so glad that you just mentioned it because it just goes to show you how flexible the dining room staff can be. All right, I'm ready for the next one.
The next one comes from K. Wag.
Okay, okay.
I've heard that cruise lines can accommodate special diets and allergies, but what about if your allergy is a non-traditional one? Can they still do that, or do I need to be super careful?
Kay, I don't know what you mean about a non-traditional allergy, but I'm imagining it could be something like maybe kiwi or cinnamon or something that could be found in any type of cooking. You're going to be most safe with your non-traditional allergy eating in the main dining room where you know your food could be prepared separately. The buffet and specialty restaurants may be a little more dangerous for you. So I hope that addresses your question. Matt, curry twinsies, I know, right? I'm ready.
Okay, so now the next one is from Kathy Krask. Does Disney have a beverage package?
Kathy Krask, does Disney have a beverage package? The answer is I do not know. Can someone help us out here and tell us if Disney has beverage package? All I know is that they have, I know that they do have a free soda on board. SoCal Seth, will they do double the lobster? Most lines will. Haha, I know it is kind of funny, right? But yes, most of the time they will do double the lobster. When I ask for double lobster, because I don't want to look like a little piggy, I always ask them to put 2 lobster tails on one plate so they're not like bringing me 2 lobster entrees. I feel a little better about that. I've had them give me trouble about that before. They're like, I'm sorry, ma'am, we're going to bring you 2 plates. I'm like, no, please, just put the lobster on there. I don't want the whole rice and everything else. I just want an extra lobster tail. You know what I mean? So usually, yes. Ray Hunter Music said mustard allergy. So yeah, avoid the buffet, stick with main dining room, notify the cruise line in advance. You should be fine. You will be amazed what they can present to you when you have an allergy. I've heard nothing but exceptional stories about people being totally pampered and their meals customized with lots of options, by the way. Okay, Elisa Garcia just mentioned a tip I'd like to share with you guys is that she booked her dinner on Carnival Splendor on the first day and received an email for a free bottle of wine with your dinner. That is a very common an awesome thing that Carnival does is if you eat in the steakhouse on night 1, they usually give you a free bottle of wine. I think Celebrity does something similar with a discount on night 1, so I think that is another really great thing. Let's see. Yes, Nighty Padilla wants to know if you can take soda to the dining room. Yes, my husband takes a Diet Coke to the dining room all the time in a can, and he asks for a cup of ice and pours it right over the top and has zero guilt about it because we know the dining room staff don't mind, and we're going to give him a little extra cash tip at the end. So go for it. I'm ready.
All right. QT Simmer says, what is your favorite dining time?
My favorite dining time is not one of the options. I don't like early dining and I don't like late dining and I don't really even like flexible dining. If I had my choice, I would go to dinner at 7 o'clock. So usually we just try to figure that out. I have had some cruises where they will allow you to get a standing reservation in the anytime dining room after 7:30. And we've done that before, but I don't love either one of them. Sorry, that was kind of a negative answer, but it's true. I'm ready. Got more?
I'm turning up my mic. It seems like I was a little soft.
Okay, thank you to whomever told us about Mr. Cruise Tips TV's mic being soft.
No one did. I just noticed.
You noticed it? Oh, sorry. I just assumed. Usually people are pretty vocal about stuff like that, so okay.
Heather says, we are vegans. Can we dine this way on a cruise?
Yes, you can, Heather. You can absolutely dine vegan on a cruise. If you don't already follow Vegan Cruiser on Instagram, Facebook, and everywhere, she's amazing. Her name's Sana, and she's a cruise blogger. And she talks all about which lines are best for vegan cruisers. She shows beautiful pictures of her vegan cruise meals and even talks about who does it better. So one of her pet peeves is when you go on a cruise and they give you the vegan dessert option of just a fruit plate, whereas some of the cruise lines will do something more sophisticated. So she is the bomb and you need to follow her. She really does break it down in depth, and I think you'll really enjoy that. Matt likes late dining. You never eat late at home, but when on a cruise, you really like how late dining works out. Especially, Matt, because you have kids and you can put the kids, Matt can utilize the late night childcare and go enjoy dinner with his wife, feed the kids at the buffet or whatever, right? And then go on to have some nice adult time. We're actually considering, you guys, on our Carnival Splendor, I'm considering changing my early dining reservation to a late dining reservation because on the Panama Canal cruise, they moved our early dining from 6 to 5:30, and I did not like having my day interrupted like that. I felt like I was still doing things and I didn't want to eat at 5:30. I wanted to swim or walk around the ship, and you can always get a snack in the afternoon. So I'm actually possibly going to become a fan of later dining soon. Okay, Steve said, if you do traditional dining and want to give an extra tip at the end of the cruise, what would be the proper amount? Steve, it's totally up to you, but I usually give a 20 in cash to the head waiter and his assistant each. Or sometimes I'll give a 20 to the head waiter and a 10 to the assistant waiter, depending on how attentive they were. So, Lawrence, I think I hopefully answered your question there as well. Totally up to you guys how much extra you want to tip. Some people also tip in the buffet. They might leave $1 or $2 on the table on occasion if they've been giving really good service in the Lido restaurant. Room service, I usually tip $2 to $3 per room service order, not per plate, but per time they come to my room, I usually slip them $2 to $3. So I hope I covered the tipping there for you guys. It was really quick, but that should work. Okay, I'm ready.
I got one from Say Hey.
Say hey.
Say Hey says, is there a show put on the staff during My Time Dining?
Sometimes in My Time Dining, especially in Carnival, you'll get a show by the staff, but not all cruise lines do that.
Here's another Anytime Dining.
Okay.
What do you do? I think you covered this already. What do you do about gratuities for the dining room staff?
I think I covered that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we should be good. Thank you. Mark Carter said, if you sit with other couples and one of them make you feel uncomfortable with one of them, you can ask to change tables. Good tip, Mark. Mike and Cheryl have a question. How do you get an evening at the captain's table? I've always wondered about that. Mike and Cheryl, I've never been invited to that, but my understanding is that they give captain's table dinners to the people who have the most loyalty built up on that particular line. I don't honestly know the exact answer, but I think that is how it works. Yeah, I'll let you know if I ever find out the exact answer. Aaron said, I need help. Can Carnival do big groups? Absolutely, they can. Ms. Mary said, I cruise solo. Do you think that they sit you alone or with a group of solo cruisers? They'll sit you with whomever you want. If you want to sit alone, they might let you, but you can ask to be seated with others if you would like. Mary C. said, I'm going on Princess in June. We've requested a table for 2. Will they honor that, or do I need to do something to ensure we have a table for 2? Mary, you may, even though you've requested it, you may be seated at a larger table for 4 or 6. That happens to us all the time on Princess. We go to the maitre d's open hours, which usually on Princess are about 1 o'clock in one of the dining rooms. Check your Princess pattern when you get on board, and we request a private table, and usually they can accommodate it. Yeah. Okay. Heather said, my daughter is newly vegetarian. I showed her a picture of the Indian entree and she's a little overwhelmed. Do you eat all those little bowls separately? Do they get mixed together? I'm lost. A lot of times with the Indian food, you eat it however you want. It can be pretty spicy, so be careful. But a lot of times people will take the naan, the bread, dip it into one of the dishes, put a little bit of raita, the yogurt stuff on there, and then kind of eat it all together. She can eat it however she wants. There's no etiquette necessarily. Please don't worry about that. Okay, someone gave a tip about Norwegian Bliss a little while ago, and I want to try to find and read that comment. Jen P. said, Sherry, when you go on Bliss, you can make a reservation for 7 p.m. every night for main or specialty dining. Reserve online ahead of time. I will definitely do that. Ray Hunter Music wants to know, how does that balcony dining work? Ray Hunter Music, on Princess, the only line I'm familiar with the balcony dining You have two options. You can do the ultimate balcony dinner, or you can do a brunch or breakfast kind of a thing. You make arrangements in advance. They pick a time and a day when they think the weather will be calm enough that you can have dinner on your balcony, and then they bring an entire wait staff to serve you. They stand outside of your room the whole night and bring in new courses when appropriate. So they're coming in and out of your room. They'll start by putting some flowers and champagne in your room. They'll let you enjoy that a little and bring you an appetizer. Then they'll step out. Then they'll bring you your salad. Then they'll step out, and then they'll bring you your main entree. It's amazing. Such a good value. If you have never done that, please do. It's so wonderful. Hope that answers your question. I know that there's tons coming in. Thank you so much, Roxanne, for the super chat. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, what you got?
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay.
One from Christopher.
Christopher.
And he's kind of just looking for your opinion on specialty dining on Royal Caribbean Liberty of the Seas. He says, should I try it? And if so, what are your recommendations?
My recommendation on Royal Caribbean, because I've been on Liberty of the Seas, I can tell you I'd probably recommend Chops. I don't know exactly which restaurants are available on Royal Caribbean Liberty of the Seas, because I know it's not necessarily one of the newest and largest ships, but I definitely recommend the Steakhouse. Make sure that you are listening to and following Matt at Royal Caribbean blog for restaurant help. And also, Matt is saying that if you want to make a table request on Royal Caribbean, you send an email to rcldining@rccl.com 2 to 3 weeks prior to sailing with your request, and the strategy usually works. So if Matt wanted to make a reservation for 2 people, that's how he would do it, and that's how you should do it with Royal Caribbean, guys. Yes, Miss Mary, it does cost extra to dine on your balcony, but it's very reasonable. Tina, we probably won't have too much time for general questions today, so please hang in there, and we'll try to do a general questions live stream next, because I'm hearing you, and I know that that's something that you're going to want to do. But go ahead and post the question, and I'll see if I can squeeze it in real quick, okay? Yeah. Did you just go, Mr. Christopher, if you just go like this? Does that mean?
Camera 2.
I'm ready, camera 2. What you got?
Dine Living Life. What is the best way to switch from scheduled dining to anytime on Carnival?
Okay, so if you have scheduled dining and you want to switch to anytime, they're not going to give you any trouble about that. It's going the other direction that is difficult. So you want to make sure that you do it on day one. They'll be courteous and let them know, hey, look, I'm willing to give up my set dining table and switch to anytime. You should be fine. Thanks, the Recon, for the super chat. The Recon 1A said, on Carnival, the maitre d' is usually available between 1 and 2. You always get to him between those times and ask for a private table for you and your wife, usually from the first night on. That's right. That's an expert tip right there. Thank you. Good job. Excellent. Oh, dear. Sydney said, on Carnival Splendor, the bar waiters don't serve you, so you need to stand in grunt of them or in front of them? I don't understand that. It does say in grunt of them. Elisa said, on the special dining room, how should we dress? Okay, Elisa, what a great question. We didn't cover dress code. I'm so sorry. You guys, every cruise line is a little different, and we do have a couple of dress code videos that we really want you to watch. I'll link to them in the comments, not the description, after this. But in general, I would think of main dining on non-formal nights as resort wear, or what we would call almost like business casual is pretty appropriate, but a lot of people wear jeans, and on some lines you can wear nice shorts as long as they're not torn or ripped, or you're wearing flip-flops. So on non-formal nights, you're gonna see women wearing things like jeans, dresses, sundresses, shorts, capri pants, decent looking tops, but not necessarily anything fancy. In the Caribbean, you're going to see more of those cool weather resort wear types of things. And in places like Alaska or Canada, New England, or cooler weather cruises, you're going to see jeans and sweaters in the dining room. Most nights. Formal night, of course, can be anything from cocktail dresses to ball gowns to a pair of beautiful slacks for women and a nice top. For men, you'll see everything from tuxedos down to just a shirt and a basic tie, but with no jeans. So that is my dress code in the dining room, 101 in less than 1 minute. Oh my goodness sakes. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, what you got?
All right, well,
dining
I just got a
questions.
tip.
Okay, tip.
From Sydney Squishes.
Oh, Sydney Squishes. Okay.
On Carnival Splendor, the water talk not served, so you need to stand in front of it.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. I'm still not reading. I'm not understanding that.
Did we miss something?
I think I might not be understanding it. Okay.
Can you maybe clarify that a little bit?
Okay, cool.
Okay, let's move on.
I'm ready.
Michelle, my bell. I'm used to late night dining. This time we're traveling with our kids. What type of shows would I miss if I attend the early dining?
You probably won't miss the shows if you attend early dining. They're generally designed, the shows are usually held twice. Once to accommodate the early diners and once to accommodate the late diners. So you should be okay. Keep your early dining with the kids and don't worry about missing shows. I wouldn't worry about that at all. You should be totally fine.
All right, this is kind of a tipping one.
Okay.
From D Love. What is the difference between having the gratuity paid for when booking the trip via tipping in cash at the end?
Well, paying for it in advance just means that you've got the budgetary element of it out of the way. So you've still given them all the gratuity, and the cruise line has the freedom to distribute it to the staff as needed. If you were to remove the gratuities and just tip the people that you wanted to tip in cash, that's a little controversial because some of the people behind the scenes then wouldn't get the gratuity. The cruise lines kind of frown on that, and some of them are actually making it a lot more difficult for you to remove gratuities and tip in cash. It's a topic that we could spend an entire live stream on, but yeah, it's tricky, but hopefully that at least touched on it. I see Terry said, for anytime dining, does that mean you can go anytime to the main dining room for breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Anytime dining, Terry, just applies to dinner. Most cruise lines have open dining on some days, at least, in the main dining rooms for breakfast and lunch. No set table assignments, no set times. You just simply go during the hours, and you can try to ask for the type of table that you want, and you'll be seated, but only dinner time is what we're talking about here for all of this set dining and anytime dining. That's just dinner hours, okay? Great. Canada said, first, we're going on a cruise. It'll be their honeymoon. They want to cruise to Alaska. In a nutshell, which one do you recommend for a honeymoon first time? Which cruise line, Canada? Princess and Holland America do Alaska very beautifully, in my opinion. So we usually recommend those two first, but there are lots of options for you. Most of the major cruise lines are going to Alaska, so do your research and really think about what type of cruiser you are. Private message me if you want to talk a little bit more about that. All right.
All right, let's see if we can come back to Sydney's squishes.
Standing in front of the waiters. I still don't understand.
Well, I think this is what the tip is.
Okay.
The waiters for the bar talk to the guests, not give drinks.
Oh, okay. So if you need to go to a bar and you're being ignored by the bartender, get right up in front of him. I think that's what they mean. Okay.
Thank you so much for that tip.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, sounds good. So, Cal Seth, is it possible for you to move your bed to the buffet? Save you the unneeded walking. So, Cal Seth, you just reminded me of that movie. What's that movie that we watched, Honey, where everyone's on like the rotating conveyor belt? They just live on the conveyor belt. It's the one with Eva. It's the animation.
Oh, right. It's
Wall-E.
Yeah,
It's Wall-E. Okay, so Cal Seth, you are now my new Wall-E. So funny. Ray Hunter Music said they prepaid the gratuities and it alleviated some stress. And I think there's a lot of validity to prepaying for stuff when you're on a cruise and not having that big bill at the end. I really like that too. Okay.
We have a question from Roxanne Hayes.
Okay.
Can you order MDR dinner, not room service, to eat on your balcony?
Generally not, unless you have a suite on a particular cruise line that allows that, but usually you can't. Some cruise lines, if you have a high level of loyalty, will allow you to order main dining room food in your room. We cruised in a suite once on Princess, and that was part of the perk of the suite, was ordering off the main dining room and bringing the food to your room, and it was really cool, but it's not something we can afford all the time. Okay, got it. Let's see here. I don't know, Anita, if they do balcony dinners on Norwegian. I don't think that they do, but maybe somebody else could ask. Okay, guys, I want to give you all a chance to go ahead and get your questions answered on dining. If I've missed your questions, now is the time. I'm 100% tuned in. We have 10 minutes, and we will do everything we can. All right, Elisa said saved a cork fee by bringing your own bottle of wine that you opened in your room and topped off your glass and brought it to dinner. Absolutely, that is such a good thing. Let's see here. Sharam recommends that you tip your bartenders. That's a very good idea. I know. My gosh, Seth, you are so funny. Shivens first. You have a room at the front of Carnival Conquest. It will be rocky. You're under the bridge. It's gonna be the rockiest place on the ship, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be uncomfortably rocky. So Jennifer, nope. Same Apple Watch, same band I've had for a while. It's not new. Okay, Gail said, when we talk to the maitre d' on embarkation day for a table for two, it always feels like we're talking to the Godfather. Were we supposed to tip him afterwards? Gail, that is such a good question. It is optional to tip the maitre d'. We have done it and we have not done it. If you want to slip him a $20 bill for giving you an awesome table at the beginning or the end, you can absolutely do that. But they are regarded as well compensated employees and they don't expect it, if that helps. Great question. Cohen said, can you disable the charging privileges from a child's sale card? Yes, you can. When you register your credit card, it should give you the option to apply that credit card to certain users and to not allow certain users to use it. So that should be part of your registration process. Okay, I'm going to grab as many questions as I can. Brishalda Shadaler, any tips, please, for dining with a child with autism? I really want you to follow Autism on the Seas. It is a wonderful resource. I don't have a lot of tips for you off the top of my head, but I will try to think about it. Okay, Marcus said, I have set dining at 5:30 on Royal. If I can't for some reason make it to the time, can you come later and still enjoy dining? You can't come later to that dining room, but you can go to the buffet, a specialty dining, or you could try to crash the anytime dining environment. I'll let Matt from Royal Caribbean blog maybe clarify that if he's still here, or anyone else who's a Royal Caribbean expert, but no, don't show up late to your set dining. Becca said, what are your opinions on Carnival's in-room breakfast options? My opinion on all cruise lines' in-room breakfast options is that they're too limited, and I don't like that they don't serve hot food. I don't like pastries and sweets or cereal for breakfast. I really only like eggs and savory things, and not all the cruise lines offer them. So my personal opinion is I don't like it. Yes, Halsey Robert, I have witnessed people who are never satisfied with anything and make a big scene. Yes, I do. I think it's terrible. I don't understand how those people end up on vacation at all. Why don't you just stay home and be miserable is my thinking, but yeah, we totally do. I just can't stand that. It's terrible. Okay, I'm scrolling down for more questions. Okay, Royal Caribbean blog said I was right. Okay, good. Thank you. Questions. Here we
How
go.
about one from Jim Jazz?
Jim Jazz. Oh, Jim Jazz, where you been? We've missed you. All right, what is it?
What's a better dining experience for picky eaters, NCL or Royal Caribbean?
NCL. Royal Caribbean will satisfy a picky eater, but Norwegian is famous for having a million dining options. That's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to theirs. You're going to be fine on both, but I would go with NCL because they are known for their massive amounts of dining options.
Joe is heading out on the Ruby Princess in 21 days, the Mexican Riviera, and would like to know your recommendations for specialty dining.
For Ruby Princess? Mm-hmm. Princess doesn't offer a ton of specialty dining. They offer Sabatinis, most likely. Sometimes they have the Curtis Stone Share, and other times they have the Steakhouse. I actually like the dining room food enough on Princess to go to 0 specialty dining restaurants on a Princess cruise, but if I had to pick from those 3 options, I would always pick the Steakhouse. Hope that helps. Angela, yeah, we already talked about the smaller portions earlier. Carrie said, does room service cost extra for general mess? I'm not sure what you mean by general mess, but sometimes room service is free on cruise ships. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes they'll have free items and upcharge items. Every line is a little bit different. Okay, I've got to jam out these questions here, Mr. Cruise Tips TV.
Did you see the one from Kelly? Can you find out what dining rooms are open on embarkation day before?
Yeah,
morning?
Kelly. For main dining rooms being open on embarkation day for lunch, instead of having to go to the buffet, it's more about what cruise lines do that and which don't. Carnival doesn't do it, so they generally don't have a main dining option on embarkation day. Now, their smaller specialty restaurants and buffets may be open, but generally not for lunch. Princess does open a main dining room on embarkation day. Kenny said, when should you reserve your dining options for each night? If you can reserve them online beforehand, do it. You may not be able to. Steven said, is there specialty dining on Carnival Imagination? Not specialty in the sense that there's no steakhouse or upcharge restaurant, but they do have Guy's Burgers and they do have Blue Iguana Cantina, and they are no additional charge and they are fabulous, especially Guy's Burgers.
Amanda was confused about your comment about dining room times that you don't like any of them. You might want to.
Amanda, I made a nebulous comment about someone asked me what is my favorite time to dine, early or late or anytime, and my answer was none of them because I don't like any of the choices. If I could, I would do set dining at like 7:30 and all the options are usually like 5:30 or 8:15 or anytime dining where I could end up waiting with the pager. So I'm not a huge fan of any of them. I just figure it out and do my best on each cruise. To try to accommodate our daily schedule. But we usually don't like to slow down in time for early dining. And when you have a kid, 8:15 dining can be a little bit late. But our son is becoming more and more nocturnal. So I really think I'm going to convert to being a late dining kind of girl. We'll see. Okay. Maurice, should you book your dinner for Celebrity Edge? You're going in January. Congratulations. That's going to be an amazing cruise. Yeah, if you can book some stuff online in advance, do it. Try it. Okay. Adventures of David and Aaron said, do you still get a free bottle of wine if you book on the first or second night of the steakhouse on Carnival? Yes, it's the first night. You should. Peter Lowe said, I didn't reserve any specialty dining and I'm hoping for these restaurants to offer discounted pricing during the cruise. Is that wise? No. They generally don't discount their prices during the cruise. They are set prices usually unless you buy a package. Liz said, if you reserve specialty dining online, do you pay up front or do you bill at the end of the cruise? Most of the time you pay up front if you buy it in advance, but that depends on the cruise line. Some of them add it to your stateroom account if you book in advance. Some have you charge in advance. Joshua said, do you know the dining options on Carnival Panorama? Any idea when reservations will come open? I don't know the dining options yet, Joshua, but they should be booking late March for Panorama, and we'll be booking that cruise immediately. Holy moly, there's so many questions.
There are so many people in the chat right now.
How many?
322.
And
I saw
feel bad.
Aaron and David's Adventures. They were the on-the-spot spotlight last week.
Yes.
So why don't we do that now?
Great. Okay, guys, we're going to do the on-the-spot spotlight. If you're in the chat, listen up right now in case your name gets called. If your name shows up on the screen right now, we want you to tell us what would be your ultimate cruise dining experience. What's your cruise dining dream? All right, who's on the screen?
Here it comes.
Okay, I can't see it. Let me see. Oh, I can't see it. Who is it?
SoCal
Seth! Oh no, SoCal Seth, we already know your ultimate dining experience would be to have your bed in the dining room. So SoCal Seth, let us know. Bonnie, yes, my Ernesto burger in our vlog from the Panama Canal was huge. We really did have to put that little cartoony thing over it because I seriously would not wanted you guys to see me unhinge my jaw like a snake to eat that burger. It was disgusting.
There was cheese
gooey, gross, and I'm just not an on-camera eater. If you see me taking a little sip of lobster bisque in a vlog, it's hard for me to do. I don't like messy eating and stuff, so I'm sorry about that. But I did want you guys to experience that with me. Oh my goodness sakes. You guys are so fun. Shailene and Kurt, are we going to try to do the first Panorama cruise? I don't know, you guys. What do you think? Should we? I don't know if I want to do the inaugural. I feel like inaugurals can be very messy, but I think we'll probably try to get on one pretty early in the process. What about you? I know you guys are Mexican Riviera cruisers, so let me know what you think. Let's see. Haha. Oh my goodness sakes. You guys are so funny. We've got to cover some more questions, Mr. Cruise Tips TV.
SoCal Seth checking in with his
Okay, I want to find it. Let me read it out loud. Where is it? Jeepers, you guys, I'm sorry if I've missed you today. Please forgive me. It has been so busy in the chat. Okay, so SoCal Seth's ultimate dining experience would be in port in Florida Keys during Lobster Fest. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. If that was crab, that would be my exact same answer. Yes, Ray Hunter music. I like neat eating. I'm not a messy eater. I'm not an on-camera eater. Yes.
Oh, I'm just thinking that I picked SoCal Seth because he was just so funny in the chat today.
He was funny.
So we don't really have a criteria for picking the spot on spotlight.
Right. It's whomever. When we pick people for the on-the-spot spotlight, you guys, you're here and you're active in the chat. That is one of the criteria because we wouldn't want to do it for someone who's not around, right? Because we want you to interact. So keep hanging in there and be here.
That is true. We do Cruiser of the Week, but a lot of times I'm so excited to have it out there, and then the person who's Cruiser of the Week isn't in the chat.
The Cruiser of the Week this week is not in the chat. I can tell you that right now. But anyway, Thanks, you guys. Yeah, I think Shailene and Kurt will probably do the first few months on Panorama. So let me, I'm going to take one more minute to look for questions, and then we're going to have to log out because I have to drive 45 minutes to get my hair done, so I've got to go. But I really appreciate all of you, and I can't thank you enough for all of the community and the assistance that you offer here in the chat and for all your wonderful questions. As always, if for any reason I have missed your question, please know that I will answer it. I want you to wait until this video saves to replay. And what we'll do is have you make a comment in the comment section of the video, and I'll answer it. And the rest of our community can weigh in and answer it too. But let's take a peek and see if we have just a couple more. Okay. Oh, I love that question, Jin Megzi. What specialty restaurant would you like added to a cruise line that doesn't exist? I want two. I have given this thought. I want a Korean barbecue restaurant, right, honey? A Korean barbecue restaurant on a ship where you cook your own food on a Korean grill. That's one of our favorite types of dining as a family. And I also want like an all-you-can-eat crab restaurant. I want crab. I want a giant bucket of crab and butter, and I don't want anything else with it. Maybe some chowder and a salad, but I don't care about the corn on the cob. I don't want the little sausages. I just want you to give me crab legs that are this big around and leave me alone with my crab, and I'll be totally happy. Just kidding. That sounded really gross and weird. But anyway. Our next live cast, Cohen McDonald, should probably be Easter weekend, 2 weeks from now, but I'll have to keep you posted. I've got to try to figure out our Easter schedule. My son is being invited to an Easter egg hunt, and I don't want him to miss that. So I'm going to be mom first that weekend, and I'll let you guys know. Please follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We'll let you know there, but I'm also using the community tab here on YouTube to post those updates, you know. So when you scroll, you'll see me typing things in when we don't have videos on what's called the community tab. So follow it here, and I'll be sure to let you know. But thank you all so very much. Yes, Earl, I'd love to go to Seattle and go crabbing. Thank you all so much for your beautiful comments. And please, please forgive me if I've missed your question today. I really appreciate you understanding my need to get on the road right now. And we will see you in a couple weeks, guys. Until next time, we'll see you on the high seas, eating a bucket of crab.
Cruiser of the week!
Hey, click me to subscribe.